Yeah, what's up? What's going on, everybody? It is Super Dave back at it again with the PA Political Revolution Podcast, and we're back again. We back again with another one. Oh man, this podcast is probably going to be one of the most important podcasts that I'm gonna end up doing, right? Because it shows and exposes the sheer incompetence of the city manager, the finance director, and the council, right? Now, man, look, I can't even make this stuff up, man. I cannot make any of this crap up. What we're going to be talking about today is, right, the EDC. The EDC and the new director has come to council, right? Has come to council and say, hey, you all are not paying our bills on time and it's making us lose bad. It can have a negative effect on the 501(c), the nonprofit status of the EDC, the Economic Development Corporation, right? It is a nonprofit and it's a separate entity from the city of Port Arthur. But the city of Port Arthur controls its money. And you're going to see, man, look, I don't even think they just have it a lump sum of money in with them, and whatever the money says on the ledger, hey, that's what you got. This is a total crap show, people. Man, look, this is so goddamn crazy. I don't know what to say about it. Let's go ahead and kind of get into it. And as usual, I'm going to do a reaction. I'm going to go ahead and narrate some of the crazy clown crap that's going on over here. And further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
It's for myself a guarantee of the transparency that I committed to you all when I started. Now, in conjunction with the corporation's finances, as I've come on board, tried to get my arms around things, I recognize that one of our the PAEDC's kind of sticking points is that we fairly consistently run afoul of some of our vendors in terms of paying things late. Nothing having to do with anything other than the EDC is trying very hard to make sure it has its act together. But in getting our act together, we obviously are relying upon our chief stakeholders, which is the city of Port Arthur. So to that end, I've had conversations with Honorable City Manager Burton, his two assistant city managers, along with Ms. Daniel. In fact, we met for nearly a couple of hours this past Thursday to discuss the corporation's finances. And I felt comfortable that we came out with an initial plan that we could, the old saying, plan to work and then work the plan, in that PAEDC staff are going to get some more concrete, detailed training on the relatively new system that the city has brought in, as well as full access to all of the modules that are that staff would be reliant upon in order to provide full up-to-date information. That activity will kick off in May, and hopefully by June, all that training and full access will be finalized so that as we go into the summer and to the meat of budgeting, everyone will be on track and systems fully up and operating a function accordingly, at least on the EDC's end with full training. That said, members of council, one of the things that I'm keeping an eye on, and now by extension asking for your help to keep an eye on, although I'm looking forward to the additional training for staff, more training is always better than less. As I told my board last night and now telling City Council, I am not sure that all of the training will necessarily rectify our being behind in terms of payments. In the long run, one of the things that I've begun to look at is to what extent, without disrupting city operations and city functions, could the EDC do in a limited manner the receiving of its bills, the paying of its bills, and the keeping of its ledger using the same exact system as the city and making sure that everything is transparent, data flow in, data flow out. In doing so, all of the current procedures and policies would not change. I'm not looking for that. Everything, contracts still have to be approved by this body. This is a long-term, very narrow function, not looking to break any other systems. It is simply for this corporation. You all know what our charter is and what our charge is, and so you know the significance of what we have to do, so that this entity simply can make sure that it is taking care of its business as it goes out to try to support existing businesses and, perhaps more importantly, attract new businesses to the area. There's nothing worse than someone in my position sitting down with a multinational organization that if I'm sitting down with them, by the time I get in front of them, they've done extensive research on me, the organization, and everything else. And I do not want the conversation to start off, you want us to come, bring our employees, bring our finances, so forth and so on. We've done our research, just kind of curious, why aren't you paying your bills on time? That's an uncomfortable conversation.
Wow, you kind of heard that, right? Let me go ahead and kind of just interject in a minute. Now you see the new EDC CEO as being so respectful to the council, right? Because if he's done his homework, he would understand that the EDC has been under a hostile takeover since Mr. Floyd Baptiste was in that chair, right? They tried to do everything to circumvent the EDC, to make it from a Class A to a Class B, so they can kind of misuse the money over there and just kind of, run wreck shop over there, right? So they ran Mr. Floyd out, they ran the interim out, and they ran the attorney out. Then they had the interim, but they ran that person out. Now this gentleman right here is in the hot seat right now. So, see, he's respectfully, right, he knows the council is screwed up, right? If he does his own work, he know all of them don't know what the hell they're talking about. They screwed up. So, what he's trying to do, right? Well, let me go ahead and back up a little bit. So, what it seems like from the background information, right? It seems like he tried to talk to him about that, and Ron Burton came up with the crazy idea of some goddamn training. Hey, look, as you will later find out in this video, this system has been in there since 2021. So we don't know what kind of new training is you're going to go ahead and have to try to rectify this problem. But they're giving this man the excuse of some type of training. Like he said, hey, look, I don't think this trainer's going to do what we need. We just need hands on our money so we can control the money, right? So we can pay the bills on time, right? And I think this gentleman is a sincere person that's trying to do what's right from the EDC. He's not trying to play politics. He's not trying to get into this ignorant stuff that we have going on in here in Port Arthur, Texas, right? And unfortunately, when you can't pay your bills on time, you can't pay the vendors on time, you hire some people to build some things, right? And you don't want to pay them on time. This is a problem. That's why you can't get the EDC to do different things, right? This is why you can't get redevelopment either on the Pleasure Island or anywhere, right, that has to come through the EDC because you have an incompetent city manager, finance director, and city council that cannot do the simple task of paying bills on time.
For anyone to have, and I wouldn't wish that upon anyone, but certainly if you're sitting down in front of folks that you're trying to attract to the area, that adds for a lengthy conversation of explanation. Doesn't mean they won't come, and doesn't mean my wonderful charisma won't win the day. It just makes for a longer conversation. So, like I say, that is something that we're exploring. I want to make very, 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 very clear. One of the things that, as I have brought this up to folks, some of the reaction I tend to get is that, well, if you want that, you have to have the whole thing. You take your payroll and your benefits and Lord knows anything else we can put in the buggy, and you take it on down to 501. If that is the case, then I'll just scrap the idea. And the reason being, if you think about it in the short run, who wouldn't want wonderful independence? Okay, you're telling me I'll go stand on my own, I'll go stand on my own. It's not what I'm looking for. If that were to occur, then it absolutely 100% violates the guarantee that I gave you all of full transparency.
Now, understand, if I'm kind of speculating on here, but I can pretty much put it up together. This gentleman seen the problems that was going on, right? So he most likely seen the council talking about, hey, we want to see what's going on with the money. So he ended up having an issue. He coming in with the sales pitch of, hey, I'm going to be transparent so you can see. So now, the council won't play no crazy juke move, right, and try to go ahead and use this way. Well, you ain't in the you trying to hide stuff from us. You trying to do this. You trying to do that. You know how ignorant the council gets, right? Whenever they want to have an issue and they're trying to control the money or try to move somebody out, they're going to try to say this person isn't doing this person isn't doing that. So the new director's trying to cover his tails, but hey, look, I'm trying to just do this part and make it do right. But look, this the issue. You have a person that's trying to do good business with the city, right? Trying to do it. But we are our own worst enemy. We have these incompetent imbeciles that's on the city council, right? So you all talk about wanting to do good things, the citizens out there. This is the problem. You have dummies that's on the council, dummies that's in departments that prevent anybody from doing the problem. So you all out there in YouTube land, podcast land that's watching this, if you really want the city to thrive, you have to remove these clowns that you have in council, in the city manager, and you have to remove these people as department heads, right? These incompetent people. Now let me go back on in and you'll see what I'm talking about.
How can I be full transparent if I'm running off on some other reservation? That's not what I'm about or what I want. I am talking about a narrow thing to just allow me to pay my bills on time within all of the current procedures and policies and programs. That will go a long way to making sure that when I do come before you once a quarter and provide you with financial information, as well as providing my board every month, that the information is worth the paper that it's written on or typed on or printed on. And right now, I cannot assure you that if I put something in front of you, for the report that you have right there, I have very much assurance that Ms. Daniel has gotten us right up to December 31st. But if you ask for something on March 7th, I'm not sure that I'm giving you something that we can all kind of sink our teeth in and have confidence. That's just the nature. No big deal. No condemnation. It just means that on our side, we got to get our act together. But in order to do that, we need the help of our primary stakeholder.
We need you, the city, let us be great. Let us have control of our own money. We don't need you to goddamn try to pay the bills when you can't pay your own bills. You messing us up.
Yes, ma'am. Did you have a question? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well,
Yes, questions?
is that about the end of that part?
Yes, sir.
Well, and what I think we can do, and to keep it and to be succinct, if we have a question that's dealing with finances and the EDC, we can ask that now instead of waiting until you end
That'd
your
be great.
presentation and then beginning to ask something and having to read
Yes, sir.
So now,
Yes, sir.
out of everything you said, and I don't know, I want to be sure that I got the right connotation and understand it. Okay, you were saying, and I gathered that there may not be an assurance that you have at this point that our bills would actually be paid on time. Did I understand that correctly? I know you said you all had a meeting last Thursday, but
Yes.
are we in a position that would clear that up or nullify that statement, or is that a statement that you were making to us?
No,
Man, the man made the statement very clearly.
your interpretation is correct. And yes, we did have a meeting last Thursday. I kind of consider that the kickoff, because I'm the new guy, of let's see what steps we need to take to help the corporation turn that around. And like I say, we do have an initial plan A, and I'm looking forward to that because, like I say, more training is always better than less. Set that aside. The second thing I'm saying is that, okay, that'd be great, but I'm not sure that that necessarily is going to then close the gap on current bill paying up to date,
Okay,
not
but now,
falling behind.
do you have an idea of how we can close that gap?
Well, he just goddamn said, Mayor, if you wake up, the man say let them control their own money. That's all he wants to do.
Or was that one of the topics that were discussed at the meeting, that something is going to be put in place that would eliminate that particular characteristic
Yes, sir.
in our existence?
Well, the approach that I'm taking so that I don't veer off in anybody else's sandbox is I'm just focused on fixing the EDC. If I scope creep, then I'm getting into other people's area that I don't have any business getting in. As it relates to the PAEDC, come back to a goal.
Basically, he's saying he just want to make sure the EDC is fine. He's not trying to get involved in any of this dumb political stuff that y'all trying to do. He's not trying to look at y'all money or call you out for anything. Let him control his own money, and that's it. That's all he wants to do.
We pay our bills, we receive the bills, we pay the bills. We're using the same system as everyone else, so the reporting is transparent. It's just that we took responsibility for taking care of our vendors and our stakeholders. Just understand that if you're a vendor, you may not see it as the city of Port Arthur. We may see it that way, and that's how we communicate with one another. The vendor thinks that, well, no, I came over to do something on the roof of 501 Proctor, and all the verbiage says Port Arthur Economic Development Corporation. So that's not the point when you're 60, 90 days late that you don't want to hear about anything other than just when are the funds coming. Wouldn't have issued the PO if we didn't have the funds. So again, for this narrow situation, given the charge of the corporation, I think over the course of time and methodically bringing this in so that it doesn't break something else, that will be unintended consequences. The corporation simply gets its invoices, pays its bills in a timely manner, and makes sure that all the reporting is transparent.
Okay. Councilwoman Moses.
And let me interject again. And understand, as a basic foundational function of the EDC, right, in order for them to do all of these wonderful things that we want them to do, they have to have a firm grasp on the finances, right? They need to control, stabilize the finances, paying of the bills, seeing what they have, looking at the interest, all of these things. The EDC needs to have control of it. There doesn't need to be like, hey, you have this on some piece of paper and it's just mixed in with the money of the city. They really need to have an actual separate bank account where they can actually have all of this stuff, tax filing. And I'm looking at, and it's crazy. I'm trying to see how the taxes look if you sharing a bank account with the doggone city, and you're a 501c3. So now, as I'm thinking about it, it must be fudging the numbers on some of this stuff, because you have to have good documented. You need to have some good bank information. Just on your regular taxes for a person, they give you an interest statement. Hell, if you got the money mixed in with them, you can't really tell what your interest statement is. So, man, it's crazy. But anyway, let's go ahead and get back to it.
Oh, I don't know, it's my light. Hi.
Good morning.
Glad to see you.
Thank you. Good
Quick
morning.
question. I know Rachel is your accountant there. So in your bylaws, does it give you guys, what does the bylaws state in regards to this? I think this has become the practice has been that the city's paying the bills here.
Right.
Is that a practice that we're doing? It's not policy.
That's correct. You
So
hit
it's
the
a
nail on
practice.
the
So
head.
you're
Tia.
trying to change the practice, and you guys do that. So why?
Right.
Okay. I mean, that you have an accountant. Why can't she pay the bills? Why are
Well,
we standing here asking her?
Because everything routes through the city, and the
So
city's.
it's a practice. It's not policy.
Yes, that's correct.
Change the practice. Take it back to your office. And
Ma'am, I appreciate.
Now, unfortunately, Miss Charlotte Moses act like she has forgotten that the city of Port Arthur, the council, tried to do a hostile takeover of the EDC, right? And you simply say, hey, this was your bylaws. Look, the council has violated so many goddamn rules, from the Open Meetings Act to financial rules to accounting. It's crazy. And you still do it today, right? So don't just say, hey, this your practice, change the practice. You have a controlling, domineering, hostile council that wants to control the money. So don't act like this is brand new, Miss Moses. You do understand this. You understand what y'all did to Mr. Baptiste. And you understand whatever happened to this interim. They ran that person smooth out the way. Now this person's coming into all these crazy personalities, all this crazy crooked stuff that we doing over here in Port Arthur, Texas. And you want to say just change the practice. Why is he here? Hell, why is the money in there in the first place, Ms. Moses? Look, you have to not play crazy. Just listen to what this man's saying and just understand. And don't play crazy with it. You know this city is mucked up, what y'all doing on council, what y'all letting the city manager get away with.
Appreciate that, and nothing would make me more excited. But
why
if I did that today, I would break other things.
I don't understand that, sir, because basically your policy allows you to handle your invoices. I don't understand, Mr. Stokes, and I don't think that there's anything written that guarantees that you have to have that done through our finance department. His bylaw says what? Let me ask the attorney.
Yeah, the bylaws say that the corporation contracts with the city of Port Arthur or any other agency or financial institution that it deems necessary in furtherance of the goals and objectives of the corporation. The corporation's financing and accounting records shall be maintained, and it states by what bylaws. But basically, over the years, they've contracted with the city because they don't have a separate bank account, as far as I understand. They have different accounting, but the money comes through the city.
So that's my question.
Look, do not have a separate bank account. It's all the money is in the city. That don't make any I don't even see how a 501c3 should even function like that. Oh, it's crazy. I'm thinking, the more I'm thinking about it now, the more it doesn't make sense.
Question. That's what my first question was.
They've had administrative services contracts with the city where the city handles their finances. They can contract with someone else to do it if they so choose.
Or can they do it themselves? Let me ask that question.
It says, and of course I changed the page, they have to contract with a financial institution and someone to manage their finances.
So we can alter the contract and
The
let
con-
them
they
handle
have
their
to
own
con-
bill.
they have to contract with the city or another agency, a financial institution
can't
or
handle
accounting
it in-
service.
Hell, I don't think they have a contract. Well, I'm gonna let them say that.
They cannot handle it in-house with their using their
They
accountant.
would need to contact a financial institution or an accounting service.
Okay, so let's go to the bylaws. Then that's what we have to follow. You can stand here all day and talk to us about it, but if we don't follow the bylaws, so right now you're in a contractual agreement with the city. So are you asking us for clarity purposes?
And Ms. Moses, remember, regardless of the bylaws, hell, the rules were it was a type A EDC, right? Remember, these jack want to change it from a type A to a type B. So understand, even though there's rules in place, you have these dummies on council that want to change the rules. Let's not forget about that, Miss Charlotte Moses. Let's not forget about that.
Purposes to dissolve that or alter your bylaws. Then you meet with your board and you come back asking, can we do that? Isn't that how this happens? Managers, see, somebody got to answer me. He has a lawyer. I mean, somebody has to have an answer.
I think Madam City Attorney hit the nugget. We do not have separate accounting. Bank accounts. Bank accounts are held by the city. So part of that dissolving and doing something else would be the city also agreeing to shift the accounts to somewhere else, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, whatever, as we went along that contracting. And again, just understand that the new guy is trying to get his arms around this. I'm trying to tiptoe to make sure that I don't break something else. Fix a thing, which might fix what we've got, but break something else. And I understand you're absolutely right. It's just a contractual matter. But sometimes when you dissolve contracts, you then have
Well, I
unintended
didn't say dissolve it.
consequences.
You change it. We're not dissolve and change are two different words.
Well, if I understand correctly, ma'am, if you want to dissolve it, change it, that'll be the same thing with this particular issue, right? If you change the contract, that means it's going to have been dissolved from whatever it was before. I don't even want to get in this so crazy. It was the same thing, for this particular situation.
So I'm not saying dissolve that. What I am saying is that whatever it takes for you to get your work done for the EDC, basically, if you don't want late bills, you want bad credit, how do you start with that process? And that process seems to me that it starts with the bylaw that's in place. If it's the same system that we're utilizing here at the city, and you have somebody keying in, processing, talking about somebody inputting, who's your accountant, paying your bills, is processed still through the city, right?
Right.
So, but you just have somebody doing the handwork at a computer rather than it being done here through our accounting department. You are basically using your accountant to invoice or send those. I'm just literally piecemealing. I mean, just how it should be. That's what you're asking. Am I right or no?
What I'm asking is, and whether it be by way of practice, contract law, so forth and so on, currently the paying of our bills is done by the city. And what we want to do is do that at the EDC.
And you want it done in a timely fashion.
Right.
And correctly.
Correct.
Okay. I mean, we're gathering. We're not here to correct the problem. We just
Now look at this damn fool here, right? He instead of bringing the communication together, he wants to input his idea on what everything should be, or what he thinks.
listening.
So legal.
Further discussion on this.
He has a lawyer here for EDC. Can you give us what that process and how we change that? Somebody's got to be able to give us some legal advice as to how this can take place.
Okay, well, it's really an administrative matter, but let me kind of explain a little bit more. The bylaws allow you to use whatever financial institution you can. Right now, you process your bills like the rest of the departments. Every department has a person that manages the finances of the department, and when they ask for a PO, they ask for a check, they go through the process as specified, and the finance department cuts the checks, pays the bills, pays the credit card bills. If you want to depart from that, the bylaws allow you to, but obviously you would have to probably have your own bank account and work with your own financial institution. Correct. You wouldn't be able to, so if that's what you're doing.
And I don't even see why in the hell a EDC, well, a 501c3 has a shared bank account with the city of Port Arthur. It doesn't make any doggone sense. And they controlling the money. That should be illegal, man. I don't know. That should be goddamn illegal. But anyway, let's go.
And the bylaws do allow that. The institute, the group has always been, the EDC has always been set up where it worked through the city just like any other department, but someone would have to hold the purse. If we're holding the purse, you function as the departments do, and the city pays the bills. But if you do want your own bank account and you just depart from the city, you just have to put that process in place.
And he does that by way of his board.
Right, then they have to come to the council and go through all the process and separate everything from the city. And then they would also, so they can separate from the city financially if they want to.
That's all we need.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you clear now?
I am. Thank you. Appreciate that. I just want to make one clarification, or just make sure that I understand. I guess for some reason, what's sticking is separating from the city for all of your financials. Well, some people consider payroll financials, and folks consider contracts financials. And I just want to make sure, narrow focus.
Okay, we understand that. We're not talking about payroll right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're talking about your invoicing.
Yeah,
Look, in other words, this man is scared for his life, right? This man is scared for his job. He's so humbly trying to come here and get through to you. Hey, look. The city attorney, she using these action words, separate and all of this stuff to make it look like it creates division. And he's trying to be like, hey, I'm just wanting to do this narrow thing. You can still have the transparency when I'm trying to do this. So, because if they can't pay the bills, it looks bad on him, right? And the council have to tread lightly because, hey, all of these problems with the EDC can't be with these directors. Somebody's going to have to take a look and say, hey, the problem is council is with you. It's with you and the oversight of it.
what you call them, accounts payable, right?
That's correct.
And we're talking about that. But if we can move on, Councilman Kinlaw.
Hey, thank you, Mayor. Real quick, City Attorney, the contractual agreement we have with the EDC on the financial side, that comes with a cost, right? I'm understanding it correctly because we're providing
Well,
service.
we have proposed in recent years an administrative services fee, but it has not been worked out in recent years. But in the past, we've had where they paid us a fee. Right now, they have not been paying a fee, but we still provide those administrative services. We talked about that, I think, a few meetings ago. Not a few council meetings ago, but when we've met with them in the past,
Right.
and we proposed an administrative services fee, but that had not been reconciled. But in the past, they've had an administrative services contract for all the services.
Wow, that has to be crazy. Paying the city a fee to pay your bills late. Man, see, I feel for these EDC. See, I feel for any professional person like Mr. Stokes or Mr. Floyd Baptiste for actually dealing with this type of incompetence, right? So now people, again, you have to see what you're dealing with. You have people that want to control the city of Port Arthur, these institutions like the EDC. I brought this to you a year or two ago. With the hostile takeover of the EDC, I've been telling you this. I've brought this to you. This is why we have problems with the EDC. And we can't get anything done in Port Arthur that you all want to have things done because there is a problem with the money. We need to grab a hold of the city's finances, and that's going to have to be removing the city manager and the finance director at the bare minimum, preferably both of them plus the city attorney.
We provide because we are separate, so that that would have to be updated. But they can certainly but the finances, if you have EDC money, it has to be in one place. It can't be all over.
Exactly.
It can't be with the city here and Bank of America here. And you have to go one place and handle everything. But it's definitely doable.
So, Mr. Stokes, so my understanding, I was trying to decipher what you were asking, and I'm glad Councilmember Moses is getting to the point about your concerns. So basically, your financial person goes, input the information they need to get invoices paid, and however, they've been getting paid late. Does those invoices also occur some type of late fee or penalty after a period of time?
Yes, sir.
So you're saying your person is actually putting it in on time, and it's on our side that's not paying them on time. Am I understanding it correctly? I just want to
Yes,
get to the point.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have a problem. So that's the
Yes, sir.
problem. That's the problem that I hear you, you're trying to be political and all that, nice, but when we are trying to get
And new.
things, and of course you're new, but when we're trying to get things taken care of on this collective council, we're going to ask these tough questions. My cohorts are trying to figure this out as well. It's our fault if we're getting paid late. So we need to fix our problem and ensure that these invoices you're speaking of are getting paid. I wrote some notes here as well as a black eye. I wrote black eye through other vendors that you may have to deal with. But I do have concerns with Councilmember Moses has stated earlier about having monies in all different banks, and we are the oversighting committee on those financials for the EDC.
Yes, sir.
So I do have a concern because I want to know what you guys are doing over there
Absolutely.
as a council member.
And that's what
Okay, so
That's what I'm trying to stress very inarticulately.
Okay.
I don't want to break anything that prevents transparency.
Got it.
That's what I started with.
That's the
what
key
I'll
word.
end with.
And-
Yes, sir.
And I totally agree. So if we can look at our end and figure out what we're doing, I know the manager is ready to chime in, but if we're doing something and if we're not paying our bills on time, we need to correct that on our side.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
It's order, and I'm going to order which he'd like to come on. Councilman Frank?
Councilman Kinlaw hit it on the head. That's where we are. I believe in root cause analysis. So why have the bills at the EDC allowed to be 90 days late? That's the question that we have to ask our finance department. That's the question that we have to ask our city manager.
Well,
Let me finish, Mayor.
Can we call the
No,
finance
I'm not
person up?
finished yet.
See, this is the problem with this clown mayor that we have right here, right? He has no respect for decorum in council meetings, right? He needs to shut the up because he doesn't have a clue what's going on. He just needs to let people speak. And this is a problem. And it really irks me real bad to seeing a guy that doesn't have the intelligence to really understand what's going on, to try to interrupt folk and to try to have them, do what they want them to do instead of letting transparency in the council.
Answer that, please.
Okay, let me
Come on up, Kent.
No, let me
come on.
finish, man.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You see, his own cousin, damn near, had to curse this ignorant clown out, right? To let the doggone man talk. This is how ignorant we have as a council. And people, you need to understand this is the problem when you have an ignorant mayor of your city, right? This is why you can't get things done.
Oh, I do know that when Scott Moore was here and he was handling the finances, there were some little embers that were red because the vendors were complaining that at that particular time that our bills were late. Some of our vendors weren't being paid.
Okay, so we have the first accounts there before. Hey, they have some bills being late. Donald Frank kind of started off right there. Hey, well, we've had some issues with bills before.
On time. And we were told as a council at that particular time it was because a new system was being implemented. And so as you're coming now and you're saying that some of that is still going on, the mayor is right. We need to hear now why we are now 60, 90 days late. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. So if I may, finance person.
Let me go before the finance.
Okay, go ahead.
Come up, Kandi.
Come on, please. And you, both of you stay. You know, everybody. We're gonna get some information. But she would probably be able to answer better what council.
Let me just share with council. Mr. Stokes met with myself and my assistant city managers and our financial director sometime last week. And we, as he indicated in his opening statement, we met for about 2 hours to get to the root of the matter. And we left that meeting with 3 distinct points that would form a plan. As he indicated, in order to work the plan for us to address whatever it is that's preventing his bills from being paid. One of the things that resonated was training of Mr. Stokes' staff, transitioning from Navaline to Tyler.
Hold on. Okay, my bad. Let me try to get some composure here, because every time Ron Burton talks, right, he understands that he's proven that the council is incompetent, because he's saying they talked for 2 hours, and in 2 hours they got out they needed training, right? Now, from my understanding, right, the reason why the EDC doesn't need the training because they don't do the input. What do they need training for if they're not inputting or paying the bills? Remember, the city controls the money, right? So what type of training do the EDC needs, right? It's either this. It's either the EDC had training when this first system rolled out and they need some new training or whatever. Or they are needing training on this new system when they never had it. Now, the reason if they never had the training in the first place is because what? It's because if they never had it in the first place, they didn't need to, because they wasn't paying the bills in the system, right? They wasn't inputting anything. Now, if they already had the training, is there some special training now that they need? So it's all over the place with Ron Burton. Let's continue.
I don't know whether Mr. Stokes have spoken to his staff or how in-depth he has spoken to them to find out how much training that they have. But clearly, there have not been an in-depth conversation between Mr. Stokes and his staff as to what is required of the executive director and his staff in order to process payments and bills throughout the system.
Well, they wasn't processing the payments and the bills in the system. So why do they need the training? They're not doing it. The city is doing it, right? Since it's not getting done, that's why he's asking, hey, I need to take control of it. But now you see, listening right here, Mr. Ron Burton is saying the reason is training is why your bill's not getting paid. Now that's Ron Burton's thing. Let's go. That's about to get shattered in a minute, but go ahead.
Mr. Stokes has a responsibility, his staff has a responsibility. And for some reason, there hasn't been, in my opinion, and both the assistant city managers and the director of finance can corroborate that, there has not been very clear communication as to whose responsibility when bills come. How do the director go and clear them? Because I shared with Mr. Stokes, part of my responsibility in clearing those on behalf of the city, I have designated that to certain members of staff to do.
See, understand. Now, this is why this man didn't want to really come to council. Now, he's getting crap canned, right, for some stuff that he doesn't have any issues over. He's getting blamed. The director and the EDC is getting blamed for the city not able to pay their bills, right? So this is, see, when you have talented folks try to come here, right, we deal with these incompetent clowns that wants to derail or corrupt a certain situation, and we can't get nothing done because we're dealing with some damn dummies, right? So now this gentleman wants to pay his bills, have control, and pay his own bills. Now, Mr. Ron Burton is making this man seem like it's his fault and his staff fault. Now, that's why we can't get anything done. That's why we can't get good vendors. That's why we can't get competent people, because you have these clowns like him right here.
Certain members of my directors. So the same has to be done. So one of those things that has to be clearly done is to train whoever it is that is responsible at the EDC end in order to take out that whatever choke, whatever it is that's not being done, to clear that part of it very efficiently. And then we will begin. Because Tyler, as we transition from Navaline to Tyler, there are...
And then also, if you remember, the EDC person, when Kinlaw said, hey, have they been putting it in, or trying to put in the information correct? And look, is it on the city's fault? And basically said, yes, they've been doing what they need to do, it's just not getting paid in the city. So that's what Kinlaw asked him. Hey, he's trying to get to the bottom. It's the city's fault. Now Ron Burton is coming back at him, the EDC director, trying to say it's his fault.
Very specific duties and responsibilities. It's not like Navaline. And that is very clear. So what we did, as he clearly indicated, we got a plan together for me that we could address that. Isn't that correct, Mr. Stowe?
Yes.
So the plan is in place. There is a plan is in place. Number two, we indicated that there was a problem with communication. You know, the individual who is responsible at the EDC frequently reaches out to the director of finance. The director of finance, you know, is pretty busy and says, well, I could assign another member of staff, rank and file member of staff, to address your concern. So we decided that we're going to put a plan in place as well to address the communication part of it. And those are the two critical items that resonated with the city. It's not that the city is not paying the EDC bills. No. Emphatically no.
Is yes. Emphatically yes.
That is not true. The fact is there is a lack of training on behalf of the EDC staff, all of the EDC staff who's involved, including the director, that was not aware as to what their functions are as far as that is concerned. Am I correct, Kandi? And that's what resonated at the meeting.
See, I think I'll be used as a soundbite. I need to remember to use it as a soundbite. What time frame is this? Well, I get the time frame. I'm going to use it 34. I'm going to use it as a soundbite.
That is what resonated at the meeting. Ms. Daniels, you might take the floor right now.
Okay. Come on, Ms. Daniels.
Okay. I think Mr. Burton did a pretty good job of kind of explaining our situation. We are transitioning from one system to another. The new system, Tyler Munis, is good in a lot of ways, but it is very cumbersome in a lot of ways. There's checks and balances, and you cannot, it's a hard stop. You cannot move past one place, one step to go to the next step if all the approvals haven't been done. And we do need to have training with the EDC staff as well as all of the other staff. And we are planning some hands-on training for the individuals who actually do enter, the information at their level. But it all starts at the purchasing level. If the purchasing process is followed and you get your requisition, you get your purchase order, when your merchandise comes in, the departments are required to go in and receive it in the system. If you have not received the merchandise in the system, we cannot pay it. We cannot pay it. And that's where a lot of it's lacking in a lot of places. My girls send out almost 100 emails every day to departments. Receive this, receive this, receive this. And they should be watching that, but they need training to know what they should be watching for. When they get something in, they should immediately go in the system and receive it. And if it's received in the system and the invoices come to accounting like they're supposed to, that process would work much better. The other thing is at the end, if it is paid on a check request, meaning that the purchasing process wasn't done, they send, most of the cases, they send a piece of paper which has to be checked off on. The the girls enter the information in the system, and then it goes back to the department director, and they have to approve it in the system before we can pay it. So there's a lot of checks and balances, and it has proved cumbersome. We are trying to work through all those issues, and we are trying to plan, for some training. But there's fault on both sides. It's not we just didn't pay the bill, and it's not a matter of I'm going to send you the bill and you're going to write a check tomorrow, because it just can't happen that way in the system.
Okay.
So I don't know if I'm making any sense, but
Now, but before I'm going to let Councilwoman Holmes go next. But I just want to make this one statement. What I'm hearing from you, because I want to just answer to the question that Councilman Franklin had posed. Why are they late? Now, what I'm finding out is we have a problem across the board. It's just this department is bringing this in. But now it's your department's responsibility, I think, along with the city manager, to be sure that accounting is done properly all over the city of Port Arthur in every city department. So I would have to say that your department has been derelict or is being derelict. Now, if this is the only time you've had a meeting was Thursday last to discuss this, we have a problem. And I know it's not going to be corrected in the next pay period, the next 30 days, or 60 days. But you and your department will need to do. I'm not an accountant, so I don't know what it is has to be put in place. But it looks bad when the mayor gets emails about unpaid bills, and they're sending it to the mayor because I'm the mayor.
There we go. Now we're getting to the truth, right? The mayor is getting sent bills, right? It's not a training issue. The mayor is getting sent bills. So, hey, this is a problem, like you heard them, across the board. So the city manager lied. The city manager sat up here and lied on his EDC director. The city manager lied. Put blame on the doggone EDC, his staff, and the director, when they all knew that they have a problem with finances, can't pay the bill throughout the whole doggone city.
And I don't know anything about the system. I give it to my admin.
Now understand, he doesn't know how the system processes, but he been receiving bills while he wasn't getting paid. Now, he should be in tune to how the system and how to pay the bills, right? If you don't know how the system is and how the bills get paid, what makes you think you're going to be any effective going to all of these out-of-town trips, getting these doggone photoshops with Pete Buttigieg and all of that there, right? Look, these clowns want to do every goddamn thing except handle city business. They don't want to fix streets. They don't want to fix drainage. They don't want to fix water lines. They want to do every goddamn thing, but they don't want to pay bills. They want to do every goddamn thing but the city business. They don't want to pick up trash. They want to do everything but the city's business.
And would you send this down to accounting or send this to whatever department it is? But and this is not the first time that I've gotten these type emails. But I just took it as something being wrote. But now I am gathering information. City manager.
Mayor, can I?
Yes, ma'am. Well, to stop me if I'm saying something
Let me
wrong.
stop you.
Okay.
We're only posted right now to talk about the EDC, so I think we need to put
Okay.
our
Well.
conversation
Okay.
on the
I
EDC.
just made that one.
City attorney. We can't just talk about the EDC when we're talking about the EDC's money. The city of Port Arthur has a hold of the EDC's money. And the process of paying bills goes through the city of Port Arthur. So we can't just talk about the EDC money and paying bills without going into the bill payment of the city. Come on, city attorney. All of this is interconnected, so the conversation will be interconnected. If the money's interconnected, the conversation is going to be interconnected.
No, I just wanted to make sure.
It's citywide. Okay, but today we are talking about Mr. Stokes and his department. So maybe that is your test rounds. Once you get that one straight, then you will have a model that you can implement across the board so that we will not be folk who don't pay their bills. Councilwoman Holmes.
I think my first question was.
Now, I had to agree with the mayor on all of what he said, right? Because now it's making him look stupid. Now I see all this. When you have all of this making the mayor look stupid, he gonna try to throw that back on you. That's pretty much the only time I can kind of agree with it. When stuff hits the fan, where he's getting beat up over, they sending him stuff. Now he's seeing it's a citywide problem, but he's gonna take care of Ron Burton first and crap on that finance director. That's where it needs to be at anyway, truth be told. But the city manager too, he's supposed to correct all of that stuff.
To Mr. Stokes, and I think this has been asked before and somewhat answered. I was wondering if there had been some identification of the issues that were causing the delay in payments. I think I received that answer. My second question is, how long has EDC had this new system? And that may be a question.
We don't have a system. They're our system.
How long have you? Okay, well, she said we couldn't talk about your systems, or so.
See, it's all interconnected.
I'm asking, how long has this system been in place?
We went live.
Come a little closer to the mic so I can pick it up for you.
We went live on the system in the middle of fiscal year 21.
Whoa, hold on. 2021. Is that when it started? We're in 23 right now. Oh, man, look, let me just go ahead and go.
So we have been on this system for a while, and we've been struggling with trying to get everything organized so that the departments will do the approvals. If the departments would do the approvals, it would be like clockwork. They would pay immediately.
I'm familiar with the system.
But I cannot pay them if they've not been approved in the system. And our girls spend half of their day, 3/4 of their day, sending emails to the department saying, please receive this. Please approve this.
Now, finance director, if your people spending half the day needing to do this, you need to bring the issue to the city manager. The city manager, him or his 2 assistant city managers, right, needs to go ahead and get these things done. See, this is the problem, people. We have these prima donnas that don't want to do the work, right? We have a city manager that said they needed some city managers, but we can't pay a doggone bill. But I bet they get their checks on time, right? Payroll is right on time. I can guarantee that. But they can't pay anybody that we do business with. That's what makes the city look bad, and that's what makes the EDC look bad. But she should have brought that to the city manager so he can expedite, hey, let's get this done. No way they should be waiting 60, 90 days to pay a doggone bill.
Please,
Yeah,
and there's nothing that we can do. And we get the calls too, and we've tried. And I think that the plan that we've put in place to obtain training for the individuals that actually do the processing in the departments is probably our best bet. Either that or turn off all the controls and just pay everything. But that would be not good either, because you lose your internal controls that you really need to have in place.
I'm very familiar with the system. Several years ago, I've been involved in a change in systems like that, and it only took 4 to 6 months to get the staff trained to do that, and it was a much larger system. I think one of the things that is essential that we're in 2023, we changed the system in 2021.
We 2 years later. 2 years later.
And it is my thought that we should have training that starts immediately. I mean, Monday. Because if we're going to have this kind of problem and this kind of issue, the issue does not lie with EDC. The issue lies within this organization. And if the mayor is getting letters that indicate that bills are not being paid, there is a system problem. Right. And so I think as we discuss this, I totally understand, but there must be a requirement that staff is trained on this, because not only is EDC getting a black eye, don't know if I should say this may not be the right time, but so is the city of Port Arthur.
It's always the right time during council meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. Candace or Mr. Stokes, one of y'all, just for my sanity and clarity in my mind, you have the purchasing department and you have finance, correct? Two departments. When purchasing, you ought to something go through purchasing. Do purchasing pay that bill themselves, or they got to go through finance to pay it? Kind of.
Come on, Cal, you need to be waking up. They're going to pay through finance. That's the problem. Purchasing don't pay it. Finance pays it. Finance.
How that works?
Finance. It's all automated in this new system, and from the time that you get the purchase order, the department enters the requisition, it goes to purchasing, they create a purchase order for it, the materials get ordered, the materials come in to the department. At that point, the department needs to go back in the system and receive the merchandise in the system. The vendor needs to be mailing the checks to finance so that we can match the invoice up with the receiving document that's in the system. A lot of vendors are not mailing the invoices to finance. We have been, trying to get them to do that. They sometimes do. They don't always do. Sometimes.
So you telling me, right? I'm complaining about not getting paid for 60 to 90 days, and you thinking I'm not sending my invoice to finance? Come on, man, please. So everybody not doing it. Most of these people not doing it. Send to finance. And this ain't the first time with the EDC. Hey, look, like he's trying to get it done. He can't. I'm pretty sure he tried to before, right? Say, hey, send it to finance, and they say, hey, this is it. But most likely they losing the crap in finance.
The invoices go all around the city before we ever find them.
That's my point, Candace. So if a purchaser don't get you the information on time or a bill on time, you can't pay it, right?
If it's not approved in the system,
it
won't allow us to print a check.
And that's my concern, Mayor and Council, is that what Councilman Moses said is the practice, not a policy. And like my doctor told me, there's too many cooks in the kitchen.
I don't even know what the hell Cal talking about right now. I don't even know what he's talking about. Too many cooks in the kitchen. I don't even know. It's just finance. This department is just finance. What other cooks you talking about? Cal, it's a system. Never mind.
When it comes down, you say too many doctors I'm seeing, back in the past, too many cooks in the kitchen. And we just streamline this policy. EDC needs to pay their bills. Like Councilman Moses said, they got a Miss Rachel. She over finance at EDC.
What?
EDC. She know her job. He could do his training in-house. And we need to streamline this. You could always be in trouble paying the bills. You got with departments turn their bills in. It's going to be an ongoing problem. So there's too many cooks in the kitchen. That's why we're having this problem. I get calls too about bills not being paid. Trust me. So we can work our way out. Follow Councilor Moses' advice. That you all do y'all pay y'all bills. Somebody oversee it. Maybe Kansas oversee it. But other departments, too many cooks in the kitchen. Point blank. We streamline this process.
Okay, Councilman Marks.
Just a couple of questions. One for Mr. Stokes.
Yes, sir.
I know you were recently hired. Could you tell us exactly when you came on board?
November 14th.
November 14th.
Yes,
so
sir.
That's approximately 5 months that you've been with us. Is that right?
But who's counting?
Yeah. Okay.
In dog years.
About 5 months.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and this problem has been ongoing for, what, 2 years? 3 years?
Yeah.
And I find it kind of disheartening that finger would be pointed at the new executive director for not having the training in place or the staffing in place, whatever, because he came on board to a staff that was already set up.
Now you see, everybody has the understanding that the EDC director should not be the blame of this. You have a problem with your city manager. Your city manager does not want to take responsibility for failures, people. And it's the council's responsibility to hold the city manager's feet to the fire. They should be lighting his ass up right about now, right? Or why he feels that if we've been having the problem before and everybody's been receiving calls on late payments and bills, this guy's been here for 6 months and this system's been implemented in 2021, it shouldn't be his fault. They should be on the city manager's ass. Right?
And it was his job, it is his job to actually to come in and turn this thing in the direction that it needs to go into.
Now understand, it is my opinion they must be cooking the books in the finance department. It has always been stated they cooking the books. Whenever it comes to the budget, they're cooking the books. They violate the laws on doing the budget, right? They move money from here to there from different departments when they're not supposed to. That's why she's too busy to paying the bills, because she has a lot to remember to cook the books. That's my opinion.
So we need to be supplying him with as much support as we can possibly get to him as soon as we can possibly get it to him. That's the first thing. The second thing is the second question on the systemic issue that we're having with paying the bills or paying your bills, the EDC's bills. Whenever you or your staff orders or cuts a PO, it's approved by you. Then that PO is sent over to the vendor, or does it go to purchasing?
No, it goes to purchasing.
It goes to purchasing. Purchasing then sends that PO to the vendor. Am I right?
That's my understanding, please.
I'm just trying to get a picture of the system, because what this is a systemic problem. And so we need to know exactly how this thing is supposed to flow. We should have a flow chart as to how all of this is going. That should have been in place. Okay, so we don't have a flow chart. You don't have a flow chart as to how this goes.
Now, Marks, he doesn't have a flow chart of how it goes because he doesn't do it. It's the city's job to pay the bills, so you need to ask the finance director or the city manager how this should go, and that's where you need to go for the flow chart. Marks?
I will certainly generate one. Good questions, all.
I'm not trying. What I'm trying, it's not for you. It's right. I'm just.
Marks,
go ahead.
I hear you. Please, Honorable Councilmember, and all of you, I apologize for interrupting.
This is how crazy this clown show circus is, right? They don't even understand. Look, now they're in council right now hearing this information for the first time, right? But it's still eating away at their minds, right? Of how crazy this crap is. They're asking the EDC director for a flow chart, which he should be paying his own bills, right? Yeah, I have to agree with it, especially when you have a 501c3. You need to have full control over that so you can be fully accountable for it. Now, they're hearing this information, the city paying it, but they asked him for the flow chart. So they're all confused over there, right? Well, most of them are. Well, some of them are.
I'm trying to fix my problem.
And I'm trying.
So when I say he's
doing one of the rules in the 48 Laws of Power, right? Yeah, I think that's the book. 48 Laws of Power. One of the rules, I can't remember which law it is, right? To never outshine the master. So this EDC director is not trying to come off too smart to embarrass these dumb clowns over here, right? He's trying to be so humble. I respect this gentleman, right? But he's going to understand that this is a special breed we have here in Port Arthur, Texas, right? We elect these doggone clowns. It's a special breed. We elect these doggone clowns that doesn't have a doggone clue of what needs to be done. So you end up driving yourself crazy, trying to dumb yourself down to speak on the level of a council member, especially like Carol Jones and Marks, that you gonna end up messing your brain up. Sometimes you need to tell them straight up, hey, look, this is not my issue because the city do it. I can't do it because the city doing it. The city mucking up the money, I can't do it. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to do that, but if he does that, he's going to get in a confrontation with the city manager again. It's the city manager trying to pass the buck on him. He's city manager trying to save the finance director for whatever reason. The only plausible reason is because they cooking up the bucks and they moving money from here to there whenever they want to. They don't look the interest. Nobody knows what happens to the interest. That doesn't get accounted for. So yeah, man, let's keep going. Let's finish this out.
Generate.
Okay.
You can easily say, well, no, that's not your responsibility. I am reliant. Let's look at it as private industry, if you will. Okay. I'm reliant upon my service provider.
Service provider is the city.
My service provider can tell me all the problems with the customer, but at the end of the day, I'm reliant upon my service provider. At the end of the day, my service provider cuts the check.
There you go, the city.
If there is something that the client can do to allow the service provider to provide the client with better service, tell me. I've been told, as recently as last Thursday, more training. Okay. Got folks signed up. Okay. Good to go.
Okay. So,
and that's until my service provider tells me, well, you got all the training and all the problems the world is great. Okay, good. That was easy.
Let me step in right here.
Sorry, sir. Thank you.
No. Just you. Last Thursday, you set up and you've identified who's going to be trained.
Yes, sir.
To work within this system.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Specify how long that training is going to have to take.
We will have it concluded by June.
It's going to take us 3 to 4 months.
We have to, and again, but keep in mind that the training is provided by our service provider, so we're dependent upon their schedule. You know, if the service provider said tomorrow, trust me, we'll be there.
Okay.
They said Saturday, at the risk of, incurring the wrath of my staff, we'll be there. Okay. But if my service provider tells me X, we'll be there then.
And there's some other questions, but I'm going to leave it right there. But I want to make this statement before I leave this. Knowing that we have invoices that are 60 days to 90 days overdue when the terms of payment are net 30, we're getting charged penalties and interest on each one of those invoices.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And so when that occurs, it's eating into your budget. It's eating into the city's budget. And so because this process of transitioning from two-Tyler, from whatever the other name, Avalon, started in 2021. And we were told at the time it was going to take approximately 6 months to transition. And the training and all of that was to be included in that. And here we are in March of 23, And we're still talking about training folk. Something, and it's not the EDC's fault, but something needs to be looked at, and it needs to be looked at immediately. Immediately. Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Kinlaw.
Thank you, Councilman Mark. He was getting exactly where I was going with the second half of my question. Navalon to Tyler, 2021, we said this is going to cut down on penalties and fees. It's going to cut down on getting our bills paid, and I was totally agreeing with that. Also, the fees and penalties that Councilman Mark spoke of, we're paying extra budget money that we hadn't prepared for, and I have a problem with that. And the last thing, I heard the city manager stated earlier that your particular department had been trained on the new system to properly pay these invoices in a timely manner. Okay, well, I hear this citywide, just not your department. I get the emails and I forward it down to the city manager's office to make sure that, hey, if somebody sends me something, I make sure he's involved.
Now, you hear Kinlaw, right? Now, Kinlaw has said that he's received the emails. Hey, I need my money. City not paying me my money. So you have the mayor and Kinlaw getting emails about, hey, I need to get paid. The city is not paying me. So it is not the EDC's fault.
With it. But who has the ability to receive these invoices that are not doing it in 60 to 90 days? And if that's the case, those individual managers or supervisors should have write-ups. This is coming from...
It's the city manager's fault because he needs to take care of this, right? If they ain't get write-ups, you write the city manager up.
The city manager to get these bills paid. And if we're not doing it that way, we have a situation. Because if they're going to go past 60 to 90 days to get something paid off, after the city manager has already instructed them to do so, we went to this new system in 2021, and it's still not getting paid, we have a problem. So we need to have supervisors, managers, whoever's the person that receives, that's what your word, you said receive those. So who's the person in each of these departments? Is it the financial person? I'm like Councilman Moses. I want to know who's the person that your people are sending 100 emails a day to, is still not paying those emails. And if they are not addressing those emails in 60 to 90 days, they should have letters in their folders or write-ups or whatever you handle. That's his lane. But the city manager stated earlier that your department wasn't trained. So what about these other departments? So that's the case, and he stated it earlier. Those people have the ability to receive those invoices that you stated earlier, Mr. Director. If they're not paying it, what happens to them? I'm through.
Okay. Councilman Moses.
Yeah, this is it. I think, Kandi, if I just want to reiterate for clarity purpose, you said your girls are spending most of their time on getting emails out. And I know we're on EDC, but they are sending out on this received, this received component, trying to get those emails out to staff to make sure they respond to those. So they're spending a lot of their time trying to make sure that this is getting done. And let me ask one question to you, Kandi. When did training take place among the cities? See that there we go. It's hard to not talk about this with EDC. Let me just ask: has Mr. Stokes' staff, EDC staff, ever been trained on Tyler, on the move from Navalon to Tyler?
There was some training with Tyler before we went live, but it wasn't very beneficial because it wasn't live and there were things that didn't work, and then there were things that had to change, and I don't believe there's been any formal training after that. What really needs to happen is a training not with Tyler, but a training
within the staff, within
the
city,
finance, to explain to them exactly what needs to happen and when it.
Okay, she just admitted it right there. The finance department needs to be trained, so it's not a problem with the EDC. The finance person said the problem was her. It needs to be trained with her, with the finance department. I need to cut that as a soundbite. Look, people, if you're a city council person, right, you need to be livid at the city manager. You need to light a fire in his ass, because it just doesn't make any sense. And the longer the city manager's there, the further this city will go down in the toilets.
It needs to happen. I think we've already scheduled to have some discussions with the department directors next week, and we need to move that down to the actual people who do that. And we are going to try to set up some formal training, but like I said,
and I'm sure you have a written from.
And how long does she know? So she been knowing they needed training since 2021. But you haven't done anything about it. The city manager hasn't done anything about it. Y'all just continue to pay these bills late to make this city look like trash. That's basically what you're saying.
Internal procedures and processes to be able to train from. So someone gets a written.
Some of that needs to be developed is the problem. We didn't receive a lot of documentation from Tyler itself that was tailored to the city, and it needs to be tailored to where it's specific to, you need to go here, 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 and do this, this, and this.
Kind of a run
and
book.
That's something that we just haven't been able, to develop yet. But we are going to be doing that very soon.
Okay, city manager. Well, go ahead, Councilman Frank.
All I was going to say was, but we still have 6 in one hand and half a dozen in the other, because we still have to fix.
Man, Donald Frank has so much potential, man. But he need to cut these little rhymes and little what you call them, ad hominems? Nah. What is these little sayings? You got the 6 in the one hand, a half dozen in the other. If the people only inspect what you inspect, they obspect, inspect. That man, you need to go on by, just handle the business, but just you need to cut some of these little cliches, in my opinion.
The problem or the situation that we have with Mr. Stokes and the EDC. So what I'm hearing now and what I am understanding is that we don't want Mr. Stokes at this particular time to put the chicken back in the egg and allow you to pay your bills. You need to have your bills paid, but we have found out that the problem that we are incurring is systemic. And if we would fix our problem on this end, then it would alleviate your problems. But we don't have that fix. We don't have that fix because it's going to take the incurring of more training. So what do we do? But while we're training, the bills are still going to be late.
That's really the system. You can't.
The problem is they need to break away from this system or whatever. They need to pay them bills, right? If the system is, look, this is sad, man. This is sad. You couldn't pay the bills before, so you implemented a system to pay the bills. After you implemented the system to pay the bills, you still having a problem paying the bills. So the problem is not actually with the system, it's with the personnel in the structure, right? Because with or without a system, they still fail to pay bills. So this either is a skill issue, skill competency issue, or a will issue. I don't want to do it. I'm cooking up the books. That person has been past the time they need to get up out of here. And this finance director, I don't even think she has a CPA certification. I don't even think she's qualified to do the job, basically. That's from what I hear. I'm hearing that she doesn't have a CPA. So hell, in my opinion, she can cook the books. She ain't got to lose a CPA because she ain't never had it in the first place.
Okay, city manager.
Let me go back to the original conversation. that we had, at the crux of it is training. Finance and accounting is only a minute or small component of Tyler. Tyler is an entire computer system that we're depending on transitioning from Navaline to Tyler. Let us talk about the success stories with Tyler. We have
city manager, we don't have the time to talk about success, right? See, this is the type of tactic that people out here use when they're dealing with me, right? When I'm bringing a lot of these problems with the city, right? When I bring a lot of these problems, a lot of people say, hey, we need you to say something good this time. The issue is not about whether you need me to water up the bad news with a lot of good news, right? You need to deal with the problems. We'll get to the good news once we deal with the problems. Now think about it. If you not getting paid, right? All the people that talk about Dave doing this, Dave doing that is so negative, this and that. If you wasn't getting paid, I guarantee you if your paycheck wouldn't come through, you wouldn't give a damn on the success stories of other people getting paid. You ain't trying to hear other people getting paid. If you wasn't getting your money, whatever the issue is, you're not going to tell me, hey, I know, I know I haven't got paid, but you've been talking about people not getting paid too much. Let's talk about the people that have. No. You're going to want to deal with the problems that's to your heart, and what's more important to you, what's in it for you is you getting paid. So you're going to want to talk about that. So the city manager's doing a diversion tactic that a lot of people do, right? Hey, well, let's talk about the success stories of it. No, we need to talk about the why the finance department needs to have training after 2 years and why are they bringing it up right now. And city manager, did they bring this crap up to you? Why did they not have it done? Okay, with the success stories, you paid for this system to be successful. So you don't have to have a big party about it. We like to party and bull crap too much, right? Instead of doing the adult thing, the mature thing, dealing with problems, we like to goddamn have a drink party, a twerk party, a smoke party, a class reunion to try to drown ourselves from reality that we have to deal with this problem, right? So the city manager is using a classic diversion tactic by talking about, let's talk about the good stuff because we're talking about a lot of bad stuff. But in order to get to the good stuff, we have to fix the bad stuff.
Fully transformed in the HR department. The HR department has been fully trained, and we have been...
You still have vacancies in the HR department.
Fully transformed. Right now, I'm doing status and wages online without those 3 or 40 sheets of paper coming to me on a daily basis. That is a success story in Tyler in itself. We are continuing, when we talk with the Development Services Department, it's a success story in the making with Tyler itself, you know. So there have been success stories. When we talk about a system that has been implemented, it's a system with various segments to that system. You have the utilities department segment, you have accounting and finance.
He's giving us the all lives matter scenario, right? Hey, if you have 4 houses, 1 house on fire, he want to talk about the other 3 houses that's not on fire instead of dealing with and putting water on the house that's on fire. All of this is irrelevant. All of this is moot, right? This doesn't have a thing to do with the cost of tea in China. We're talking about payments, right? We need to get the payments taken care of, not gloat about some other bull crap that's being done in the city where it's working. It should work. You're paying for the system to work.
Financing segment, you have development services segment, you have the court segment, you have public works segment, You have the procurement segment. You have the segment that has to deal with the shop out there. So there have been success stories with Tyler that we have been very much successful with. We are approaching this segment with finance that has not really begun into, this system began in 2021 when we began to implement it. So I think that's what Kandi is trying to say. We did not begin in 2021 with the accounting department, just going forward. The system of implementation. So so what I will do, Mayor and Council, I will put a small group together to come and explain to Council what we have been able to achieve over the years, 21, 22, and we're approaching 23.
Now, this guy really thinks the council is stupid. I would give him a write-up from just this right here himself. This guy really thinks the council is stupid because when you have a problem with paying people, right, you had a problem with paying people from the finance department, right? The finance, the very heart of the city, right? If it's not the heart, it's a vital vein of the city, the finance department, where the money is. You have a person say, hey, we got a problem paying people. But this goddamn city manager want to get a group of people to tell you about some other bull crap that doesn't even matter. Hey, I got a bullet in the leg over here, but hey, let me tell you how good my arm feel. This is straight classic diversion tactics that only stupid people will fall for. Somebody should have called a point of order up in here and damn near cussed out the city manager to stop making them feel like a fool.
Because there has been success stories with Tyler that we have not spoken about. The Parks and Recreation Department, we have had some success with that. Are we still working out kinks in the system to be fully integrated? Because that's the path that we are moving on. Full integration of the system. Yes, there are kinks. And that is one of the kinks that we are working on that will require continuous training, not only in the account and finance department, but throughout the entire system and throughout the entire city as well.
Okay, Councilwoman Holmes.
Yes, thank you, Manager, for your comments about the success stories. When you all decided to move to this new system, did you decide what you were going to roll out first and establish a level of importancy of what would be most important to this community?
Yes, we did, and that's why we started off, and we even brought Tyler staff on site here. If you remember, they occupied the council's office. Yes, we did, and we started off with the HR department. Awesome. That has been very successful because we thought that was necessary because of the fact the HR department, just like the finance and accounting department, HR department, touches on every other facet of operation, in the entire service.
And so with that, we have seen, and this is a question, we have seen our solutions resolved with the number of employees that we need within this city by creating that?
Not all of it, though.
Okay.
Not all, and let me give you one example.
And so,
even with the status on which...
May I finish?
Go ahead.
Question, please. So with that, we have noticed, however, long-term, before, and I don't know why we changed systems, but one of the reasons that I was told we changed systems was because we were having issues with paying bills on time and that this system would be better. So we can't do anything about what we've already done, but it would be better if we would look at establishing those things that are priorities. And I think that paying bills and keeping the credit rating and the score and all of those things that impact us financially are extremely important because I think, and hiring staff, is extremely important, and they all go hand in hand. But I think, a collective training system would have been extremely important in creating what we see now is a significant problem that came up because of EDC.
Look, she said it. They had a problem paying bills before the system, right? The answer was change the system. Paid money. Change the system. Still can't pay bills. Now, if Ms. Holmes has to say we should have had a training system in place, why in the hell are we paying over $200,000 for the city manager? Why is we paying over $200,000 to the city manager? A lot of these things are common sense, people. This is why we are going down as a city. We have incompetent people in management, incompetent people over your money, unqualified people over your money. So people, look, this is not going to change until you make it change.
That's all I have to say.
Councilman
Mayor.
Jones?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I won't speak on this issue anymore today. We could be here all day long discussing this probably till 6 o'clock tonight, and that's what we're doing. But I look at the agenda and I see a presentation by Terry Stokes, EDC. He didn't say about Public Works and Water. He said other departments here, EDC. So why are we going on the other departments here not sending the invoicing on time?
Cal, oh man, look, man, this don't make no goddamn sense, man. It's how crazy, how bone dead these people are. We need to talk about it because it's intertwined. It's the system, and the city manager said we have to go talk about all this other stuff. We don't need to talk about that. Now, the city attorney should have told the city manager, hey, we don't need to talk about that crap. You need to talk about the problem. That's why you have to go. You have to have the root cause analysis and go through and see where it leads you, because this is new. This should be the first time they're talking about it at the council, right, for the people, for discussion. So obviously you're going to go and you're going to learn some stuff. You got to ask different questions. You got to go from the base of the tree and going all over to the branches to find out the problem, try to find out the answer.
Mr. Stokes want to know how can he pay his bills himself. We here to discuss the EDC. What can we do right now? City manager, city attorney, Mr. Stokes, finance, the religious man pay his bills. Am I correct? That's what you're here for? Yes. So what we going to do? We're going to Galveston to get to Beaumont. Let's go to Beaumont. What can we do to help Mr. Stokes and his EDC pay his own bills? That should be a simple solution right now, right here. Mr. Manager, can we get together, finance, you, Mr. Stokes, you all, and find a way to how you can pay his own bills? That's what we're here for, EDC, Mr. Stokes.
Yeah, and I think that's the resolve that we're getting there, Councilman.
But we're going to other departments.
Well, they were just giving some other examples, I guess. But what we'll do,
how can we help him right now? He wants
I think that the assistance, as far as I believe, was on Thursday last, that they came up with a plan. Okay, that plan is in place. What we're doing now is discussing even how we got to last Thursday's meeting, I would say. Now, one thing I have to say, even though I understand what the city manager was saying, because you are the CEO, so you should know. However, we also understand you are the second CEO in 6 months, okay? And then there was one prior that, even to that. And then there was an interim, and then a permanent person. So your department has gone through some changes. I would say this is the most in simplified way, in a very simplistic way. You know, you've gone through changes and leadership over the past year. Okay?
Yes, sir.
And you have an inheritance situation. And I would say it, use that term like that loosely. So you have inherited all of the good as well as the bad and everything that's in between.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what we want to know.
Well, the inheritance problem is the city. Shit, the inheritance is the city. He's inherited the city's problem because the city controls their money.
What I'd like to commend you on is you're doing a good job, because what you're doing, you are making us aware. You are apprising this council, this group, of what is actually transpiring.
Now, your city manager should be keeping you abreast of what's going on. And if your city manager is hiding things from you, right, you need to have a good long talk in front of council with your city manager. You need to go over his duties and responsibilities at council time and remind him what he needs to do.
Okay? And I don't believe that you are against the bylaws, rules, ordinances, or even legislative workings here in the state of Texas, because we follow each of those for your existence and for our coexistence.
Yes,
so the leadership that this group can give has to be leadership based upon fact. You are delivering some facts to us that we see that as a group, our person who is the city manager is going to see to it that those things are corrected. Okay? So now you can move to the next point.
Yes, sir.
Go right ahead.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to move through the remainder of my update very fast, because I know you have other folks.
You don't have to go fast. No. You see,
I feel like I've taken up all your time.
I don't even want you to say that. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. And if you got to take a restroom break, just tell me, because I might have to also.
Okay.
Look, we are here to handle the city's business.
Okay. If y'all can hang in there with me.
Yes, sir. So
I'm
you don't
good.
have to rush.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Thank
no
you.
problem.
Next on my presentation to you is an update on my 90-day plan.
Yeah, that right there was it, people. That pretty much was mainly everything that was kind of going on. That pretty much wraps everything up. All the problems going on. Man, look, it is no excuse for the city to not be able to pay the bills when we have money in the account. We have several $1 million in the accounts, but we can't pay those bills. And incurring late charges, late fees for over years. Years of wasted tax dollars. Making the EDC look bad, making the city look bad. Now they say this person doesn't even have a CPA license. So my only reason is, right, in my opinion, man, they got to be cooking the books, because they're doing a lot of illegal things. And hell, if you have a person without a CPA, they ain't gonna lose their license. Hell, shit, they never had it in the first doggone place. So now, I believe in the next presentation, right, they said something about they hired another assistant of finance. So they hired another person over there. So they paying more money in more positions that you really don't need, right? So you paying money for the other position. Now, and then he was talking about some crap about doing the job from the house. Look, this is a municipality, right? There's no way you're going to have that shit, that junk couldn't fly, about having a person doing the finances from the home. But I'll probably get on that on a different issue, right? You know, hey, I appreciate you all from listening to this, and we all have to keep an active eye on local government, on making this city better, right? And once again, I want to thank everybody for watching, for being here, sitting through this, for watching, listening to the PA Political Revolution podcast. Like this here, share it to a family member, friend, everybody. This needs to get out there and what's going on to the city. Until the next time, peace.